Welcome to the Daily Dispatch. For our first headline, we'd be covering the United Nations designation of Asia-Pacific as the most disaster-prone region of the world. Then, we will be taking you to Afghanistan, where a raid on the Islamic State's hideouts have left 8 dead. We'll also be covering the news of major layoffs at the retail giant Amazon as the company looks to cut the costs. We're here to give you the news and to help you infer the world around you. I'm Tayyaba Nisar Khan, and here is your Daily Dispatch. United Nations has once again reiterated that Asia-Pacific continues to be the most disaster-prone region. Natural disasters, particularly the floods, battered different countries in Asia-Pacific, including Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Australia, and Thailand. While droughts affected parts of China, the Pacific islands of Kiribati and Tuvalu and recurring typhoons wreaked havoc in the Philippines as well. In 2022, floods accounted for over 74% of disasters and 84% of the deaths worldwide. Experts in the World Weather Attribution Study, as per the United Nations, have identified climate change as the leading reason behind monsoon rainfalls in South Asia, including Bangladesh and India. Now, in Bangladesh, nearly 7.2 million, and in India, nearly 1.3 million people were affected. Earlier in April, India and Pakistan witnessed the warmest ever spring months. Usually, the pre-monsoon heat temperatures in India and Pakistan are recorded in May. As per the United Nations report, natural disasters are triggering other secondary cascading disasters as well. The climate-induced factors also had a cascading and compounding impact on Pakistan's recent monsoon floods. Now, spring heat waves triggered the melting of the glaciers and the monsoon rains, which resulted in the unprecedented floods, and further caused the hazard events with initial and residual impacts. The floods displaced over 33 million people throughout the country in Pakistan. As per the study by Lahore School of Economics, floods resulted in losses worth 12 billion USD in the agricultural sector alone, and nearly 33% of the crops on cultivated land. Now, these floods exacerbated the food security concerns due to the damage on staple crops in the country. The cascading impact of disasters in Asia-Pacific points to the need for a collaborative approach by the regional countries. It also stresses the need for investment in and global support for countries like Pakistan to invest in climate-resilient infrastructure and for considerable reduction in the carbon emissions of major contributors. We'll now give you some updates on the terrorist outfit Islamic State in Afghanistan. Now, 8 militants of the banned Islamic State Khorasan province, or the ISKP, were killed in an operation by the Afghan Taliban, according to Zabiullah Mujahid, the spokesperson of the Afghan Taliban. The 3 hideouts were eliminated in the areas of Shudai Salihin, Kalacha, and the capital of Nimroz province, Zaranj. ISKP, a branch of the transnational radical Salafist jihadist outfit, the Islamic State, has increased its attacks from 60 in 2020 to 334 in 2021 and has become a major threat to the peace and stability of Afghanistan, following the US pullout from the country in August 2021. The network of the militants was also involved in the attack on Pakistan's charge d'affaires, Ubaidur Rahman Nizamani, on December 2nd, and the hotel attack in Kabul on December 12th, where 5 Chinese nationals were injured. Now, the militants were involved in other attacks as well, and were planning to carry out even more. This comes at a time when Pakistan and Afghan Taliban are exchanging heated words over the curtailing of terrorist outfits within Afghanistan that attack Pakistan from across the border. Even though Pakistan expressed confidence that the Afghan Taliban will investigate the Pakistani embassy attack by the ISKP in Kabul, the question of the cross-border attack by Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, or the TTP, remains unanswered and is causing distrust between the two countries. With the increase of ISKP's attacks and strength in Afghanistan, the threat is no longer restricted to the country alone. The attacks have spilled over to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan in Central Asia, and Pakistani officials have noted the urgency of the matter, stating that the ISKP is a security threat to Islamabad. The assault by the TTP across the border from Afghanistan to Pakistan could also embolden similar attacks by the ISKP, showing the urgency of collaboration between Islamabad and Kabul. Now let's talk about the massive impact of inflation on a US multinational company, Amazon. Amazon plans to lay off over 18,000 employees, citing the uncertain economy and the rising cost of living, as the consumers cut back their spending. It is the largest layoff in the company's history. The online company currently employs 1.5 million people across the world. But so far, no details have been shared as to which countries would be affected by these job cuts. The online businesses saw a huge boom during the pandemic lockdowns, making companies like Amazon increase their workforce in the face of growing demand. As the global economic slowdown grinds on and the cost of living affects the consumer demand, multinational corporations are looking for different ways to save the costs. Last year, Amazon shelved its robot delivery project and stopped the expansion of its warehouses. Amazon's plans to reduce its workforce is part of a series of decisions taken by global tech companies to carry out layoffs to cut the savings. In November 2022, Meta announced that it would reduce its workforce by 13%. Moreover, soon after taking over Twitter, Elon Musk said it would cut its staff by half. Now, cryptocurrency exchange company Kraken has also planned to let go of 30% of the workers, citing macroeconomic and geopolitical factors. We'll keep you updated on the impacts of inflation on multinational companies, especially the tech companies. Next on the dispatch, the Foreign Minister of UAE, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, has met with the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. This is his second visit to Damascus in as many years. This visit, along with the meeting of Syrian and Turkish defense ministers recently in Moscow, signals a thawing of the relations between Damascus and its rivals in the Middle East. The Assad-led Syrian government had become a pariah in the Arab world and in the larger Middle Eastern region after a civil war broke out when a peaceful movement in 2011 turned violent, drawing in both regional and international powers, either supporting the government or the opposition forces. It was also expelled from the Arab League. As a stalemate has emerged between the warring parties, there are increasing signs that both the Arab world and Turkey, which at one point was a staunch supporter of the rebel groups in Syria and hosted more than 3 million Syrian refugees, are trying to mend economic and political ties with Damascus. Just when you thought we wouldn't bring you more Twitter news, we had to bring you more Twitter news. The Twitter CEO, Elon Musk, has reversed the 2019 ban on political ads on Twitter. The company's trust and safety head, who is responsible for the rules and policies, has confirmed the decision. In this latest move, Twitter has decided to align its policy with the TV and other media outlets for cause-based ads. This revision of the policy will also leave the company aligned with Meta and Google's parent company, Alphabet Incorporation. This decision comes against the backdrop of news that Twitter could face a negative cash flow of $3 billion USD, and the move could reduce the platform's losses and can be seen as a blessing for the political parties that are invested in the platform. Like most social media platforms, the presence of bot accounts is also an issue Twitter continues to struggle with, enabling the misinformation and trend manipulation. However, without a strong trust and safety policy to regulate the political advertisements, Twitter can struggle in preventing the amplification of intolerant messages. Countries such as India and Pakistan, among the top 5 most populated countries in the world, expect elections in 2024 and 2023, respectively. And political parties and the ad industry may become more invested in the platform, with such reworks to Twitter's policy underway. India has only 23.6 million users, whereas Pakistan has 3.4 million Twitter users. But most political parties and political personalities use it as a major outlet for campaigning. And lastly, in more updates from China's COVID policy. China is opening its border with Hong Kong for the first time in 3 years, as it lifts its tough COVID rules, such as bringing a resumption of the quarantine-free travel, which the government suggests would be carried out in a gradual and orderly way. China and Hong Kong both previously followed a stringent zero-COVID policy through the majority of the pandemic, but it has battered their economic growth. According to the government data, the border of Hong Kong-China exchanged more than 236 million passenger trips a year before COVID hit in China in 2019. China has been Hong Kong's largest trading partner, with their bilateral trade increasing from 9.3% in 1978 to 52.4% in 2021. However, COVID-related effects impacted their economic and trade relations significantly. On the other hand, reports suggest clinics in Hong Kong have been swamped with residents getting vaccinated, especially with the BioNTech vaccine, after the news of the border reopening circulated. Fears of a COVID influx from China, which experienced more than 7,800 cases in a single day yesterday, have increased in Hong Kong and the world over, with many countries introducing the COVID tests and other measures for travelers coming from China. And while there are apprehensions that the lifting of COVID measures could adversely impact the health sector of Hong Kong, it could also boost Hong Kong's GDP by up to 7.6%, making it the biggest beneficiary of China's border reopening. That's all, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with more bite-sized news that keeps you up to date with what's going on in the country, the region, and the globe. I'm Tayyaba Nisar, and this was your Daily Dispatch.